Hey everybody, in today's lesson we're going to cover shell voicings, a super efficient way to play 7th and 6th chords on the guitar. These shapes are perfect for comping, solo guitar, or just getting a better understanding of harmony across the neck. So what are shell voicings? Well, they're simplified 7th and 6th chords where we omit the 5th. So instead of root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th, we're just going to use the root, the 3rd, and the 7th. Now, while any voicing like that's root, 3rd, and 7th, or root, 3rd, and 6th, can be called a shell voicing, today we're going to look at a very specific subset that are very guitaristic or fall under the fingers really well on the guitar. Now, there's two kinds of these shell voicings. There's one on the low E, and then there's one on the A string as well. There'll be 5 shapes on the low E and 5 shapes on the A string for a total of 10 shapes. So let's start with the low E shapes first. Those are root, 7th, and 3rd. Now we'll start with major 7 and work our way through the rest by just changing one note. So major 7, and then if we lower the 7th by a half step, we'll get to dominant 7. And if we lower the 3rd by a half step, we'll get to minor 7. Or this can also be a minor 7 flat 5 because we're omitting the 5th, and that's the only difference between those two chords. So this could be minor 7 or minor 7 flat 5. Now, if we lower the 7th again, we'll get to the 6th. So this could be a minor 6 chord, or it can also be a fully diminished chord, because once again we're omitting the 5th, and that's the only difference between those two chords. So this could be minor 6 or fully diminished. Now, if we raise the 3rd by a half step, we'll get to a major 6 chord. And that gives us all 5 shapes on the low E. So let's take a look at the shapes on the A string now as well. Those are root, 3rd, and 7th. And we'll do the same thing. We'll start on major 7 and we'll work our way through the rest by just changing one note. So major 7, and if we lower the 7th by a half step, we get to dominant 7. And then if we lower the 3rd by a half step, we'll get to minor 7, or remember this could be minor 7 flat 5 because we're omitting the 5th. And then if we lower the 7th again, we'll get to minor 6, or also fully diminished because once again we're omitting that 5th. Now, if we take the 3rd up a half step, we can get to major 6. And that'll give us all 5 shapes on the A string. So some pretty great ways to practice these are to play progressions like 2-5-1s. And if we're in the key of C major, we could play D minor 7, G7 to C major 7. We can also play that same progression using these shapes. D minor 7, G7 to C major 7. Another great way to practice these are to harmonize the major scale. And in C major, that looks like this. We'll have C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant 7, A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, and back to C major 7. We can also do the same thing with those low E shapes, and we can do it in G major. So we have G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D7, E minor 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, and back to G major 7. So another great way to practice these are to play tunes that you know. So if you know the A section of Autumn Leaves, we could use that as an example. And we'll do it in the key of E minor. So the first chord will be A minor 7, then to D7, G major 7, to C major 7, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, to B7, and then to something like E minor 6 or E minor 7. So these voicings start to get really interesting when we start to add extensions or color tones. So we'll take a look at a few examples. So for major 7, we could add the 5th, we could add the 13th, or we could add the sharp 11th. If you want to be really spicy, you can add the 13th and the 9th like this. We can do the same thing with dominant 7 and even more. So we could add the 5th, we could add the 13th, but we can also do the flat 13. We could do the sharp 11. Minor chords, we could add the 5th or the 11th. Same thing with minor 7 flat 5, we could add the 5th, and now we can actually hear the difference between the two. Or minor 6 with the 5th and diminish with the 5th. Now we can actually hear the difference. And we can do the same thing on the A string. What we can do is add the 9th really easily. So major 9, dominant with the 9th, minor with the 9th, minor 6 with the 9th. So start experimenting, adding these color tones to these shell voicings. There's a lot of possibilities. Shell voicings are an amazing tool, so get to practicing, get the basic shapes under your fingers, and then start adding those color tones. If this video helped, please like and subscribe, as it'll really help the channel grow, and I'll see you guys in the next video.